I get a lot of questions related to my travel, my trips, and the most frequently asked question is how do I plan my trips? How do I get good prices, good rates for my hotel bookings, and some all these things related to my travel. Planning is really important for everybody's life. It can be how you plan your day, or it can be short-term plans, long-term plans. Similarly, to plan, you need to plan your trips also. Earlier, like I used to think nothing goes as per the plans. So I used to think that there's no point planning or bad luck that things don't happen how we plan. Success of a plan would depend upon how perfectly you plan it. Now let's go into planning our trip. I have been traveling a lot, and today I'm going to share with you guys the methodology or the method which I follow to plan my trips. As far as I am concerned, there are two kinds of trip. One is short trip and the other one is long trip. Short trip means the trips which would be less than 2 or 3 days, usually day trips or weekend trips. And these kind of trips are too noisy here, right? So I better go inside somewhere and talk to you guys. Okay, short trips are those trips which are like less than 3 days. Usually it would be a day trip or a weekend trip. And long trips are trips like more than a week, maybe 15 days, or it can be more than that also. Long trips usually you need to plan a lot, and short trips may be decided a week before or one day before we get a chance to go out with friends. Those are short trips. It doesn't mean that short trips doesn't need any planning. You have to plan. If you plan well, things would be better. Need to do some shopping. I'll get back very soon. Okay. So the first thing what I do is, once I decide the destination, I read about that place. I go through different websites, review sites like TripAdvisor, or many groups are there, many information, different sources are available. Especially you just go to Google and search for the place, you will find tons of information. So I do is first read about the place. Then the second thing what I do is I try to understand the climatic conditions and the best time which I should travel. I want to travel when it's not too crowded. I want to travel when I can see the maximum place. I want to travel when the climate or the seasons, for example, if there are places where when you travel during the springtime, you can see different flowers blooming. Those kind of things we cannot miss. For example, my recent trip to Shimla, I went there during the beginning of the season. I could enjoy the climate, I could enjoy snow, I could see the flowers blooming, and it was really pleasant, very pleasant for me. There is no point for me to go to Ooty when it's raining. I cannot go out, I cannot enjoy the climate. I'll have to sit inside the room and have some food, that's all. So anyway, even people go for that, to just relax, sit inside the room and relax. But the purpose of me traveling is I want to enjoy the environment. I want to move out as much as possible. So I need to travel during the best climate, less crowd, and I should enjoy everything. So I need to time my travel dates perfectly. Now next is deciding on the places to visit. I usually do a search first, and I take a list of places as per the reviews and popularity. Then I would check whether those places are matching my interest. See, there's no point for me to go to all the zoos in India. I recently went to, I think, Darjeeling. There was a zoo there. I just didn't want to go there. I just skipped it because I've seen lots of zoo, and there is nothing special about that zoo, so I just skipped it. So it was not in my list, but it's one of the most popular, most visited place in Darjeeling. Similarly, I would pick few places which would match my interest, and I would want to spend more time going deeply into these places. That's what I do. I just don't want to go to a place, just see something, come back. But what I want to do is, because I make videos, so I need time. If I can fly a drone, that would be great for me. So I have to pick few places, the best places, which matches my interest. Other very important thing what I am following these days are, I try to go and explore the unexplored, which means that I don't want to go to very popular places. Most of the people might have gone there, or if it is really something which I should see once in my lifetime, I will go. Otherwise, I would skip and try to find places which are not explored, and if I could like even find out really amazing places. So that's what I try to do, and I get, once I reach the place, I talk to the locals, especially the driver or the homestay people, and I try to get information from them and get ideas from them to decide on places. That is something what I have tried in Sikkim. The driver was very helpful, and he wanted to take us to some places which was never heard about, never read any reviews, nobody knew about, but it was like amazing places. So that's what I do when I decide on places to visit. The next thing is the best places to eat. I am a foodie and I like to explore local food. I would search for places, the best places to eat at the destination where I am going. Other than that, as I told you, I'll talk to the locals there. I will talk to my cab driver or the guide who is with me and find out the best places to eat local food. And sometimes I would even have a list of places where I can eat my regular food also. Sometimes what happens is, when I was in China, I was really missing my regular Indian food. So I had to go to one Indian restaurant. One Mr. I don't remember his name. He's from Punjab. He had really nice North Indian food. So in between I had to go there. I couldn't tolerate the Chinese food, to be very frank. Now the next thing is deciding on the number of days for the trip. I want to travel during the best time, that is decided. So I need the slot. Depending on the places I'm planning to visit, I would need to decide on the number of days for the trip. It should match my holidays that I can spare from my regular work, and I would finalize on a date so that I can cover most of the places, not stressing myself. I would need breaks or rest. I don't want to like wake up in the morning, travel to 10 place, just come back, sleep. Vacations or holidays are to enjoy, relax. So I don't want to fall sick traveling lots of places. So I would decide on few places per day and decide on the number of days to cover the places where I want to go. If I am not able to do, if there are some time constraints which I am not able to cover all the places, I would put some places into my bucket list and plan for a second trip, maybe after the next year or after some time. Then comes, if it's an international trip, I need to check on the visa requirements. If it's a local trip inside India, then that's not a problem. Most of the countries now we have visa on arrival, otherwise we need to apply for the visa. So all those things to be planned. Then book the flight tickets. I said earlier, I would plan my big trips where I need to book flight tickets. I would plan at least 3 months before, because you can save at least 50% of the airfare if you book 2 to 3 months before. I had gone to Bali and I checked the date one day before when I wanted to fly, and the rates were like more than double. Even similarly for Andamans, I had the same thing I checked. So always book your tickets well in advance. There is a risk. If your plan fails and if you want to cancel, you may lose a lot of money. But still, I take chances and book my tickets at least 3 months before. So before I buy my ticket, I do one very important thing, that is deciding on my local tour operator. Now what happens is there are internationally or well-known branded tour operating companies like Thomas Cook, Make My Trip. For me, I feel it's better to find a local tour operator, because Thomas Cook, all these big companies depend on local tour operators. Go to Google, find, search, read the reviews and get the best tour operators. For me, in Andamans, I used the Experience Andamans. I would give 5 out of 5. In Shimla recently, I used one Mr. Arun. He was also really great. So I recommend those people, for even for people who ask me who arrange for all my trips. I recommend these people. So I find the best tour operator. I then send my plan that I want to see these places. I have these many days. I am planning to fly on so and so date and return on so and so date. You need to pick me up from the airport, take me to all these places, arrange for my accommodations and drop me back to the airport. I have the air ticket purchased. So that's what I talk to my tour operator. This is my first conversation, and if he agrees that he can arrange things, then I'll send him an email with all the details. Arriving on so and so day, this is my flight, I want to see these places and I want to return on this date. You need to take care of everything. That, like for example, in Shimla we need to take permits. It's very difficult for us to go and take permits, so they can arrange all these things, whatever the charges is. So he has to give me a quote for everything till he drops me at the airport. Pick me up, take me to all these places, arrange for my stay, local transportation, taking all these permits, buying tickets, all those things would be taken care by them. And I need a dedicated personal vehicle for all my local transportation. So this is what I tell them, and they would send me a quote. With my so much of traveling experience, once I receive the quote, I would go through it again, and if I need to do any correction, I correct that and negotiate with them. And even the places where I stay, I tell them that I don't need any 5-star hotels. I would like to stay in homestays. That's my preference. So once I get the final day-by-day activities, I confirm that to the tour operator and make the advance payment, whatever is as per the terms, and get all my communications documented. So I use emails for the communication. There are situations sometimes when I do my bookings through booking.com or Airbnb. Airbnb is my most favorite because I like to stay in homestays. Advantage of staying in homestays, first thing is it's very cheap. Second thing is we stay with a family, we get to understand the culture, and the third thing is the food. We can eat local cuisines. Other than that, they guide us, help us in finding good places to visit. That is also one big advantage which I realized during my recent trips. So always it's good to stay in homestays, and what you should do is when you book a homestay, you should read the reviews. If I prefer mostly super hosts which have, or the hosts which have good reviews, so you won't end up in any kind of trouble. Local transportation, as I mentioned, I always ask my local tour operator to arrange the local transportation, because we don't know the local rates, and when you are working with a reliable tour operator, you can be sure that you won't be cheated. Otherwise you will have to pay heavily if you are going to go there and try to find somebody. Then very important thing is the safety. I give highest priority when I plan my trips. I make sure that I'm not traveling during bad climatic conditions. I stay in a safe place. I travel with people who are reliable and trustworthy. So safety should be given highest priority, because you are going to a place which is new to you, so you don't know about the place. You should read about. That's why the first thing I told you is read about the place. How is the nightlife? Is it safe to go out during night time, or which are the best or the safest places to travel? These are things which you should decide and understand during the first point which I mentioned. Read about the place. Then mobile connectivity. If you're going into a different country, you should buy a local SIM as soon as you land. because if you are going to roam, it's going to cost you heavily. Mostly the hotels would have Wi-Fi, and these days we do not depend much on mobile numbers. We use WhatsApp or Viber or these kind of data calls. If you are traveling inside India, you need to check whether your operator is having good connectivity. In Andamans, when I went, I had a serious problem with my Airtel connection. I had to go there and buy a local BSNL SIM. In Sikkim, Airtel was really good. Depends. So you can do a research on that related to the mobile connectivity, and if needed, you can buy an additional SIM before you travel. The next thing is clothings. If you are traveling to a cold place, you should carry clothes accordingly, and if it's a hot place, you should carry clothes accordingly. But don't carry too many clothes, otherwise your luggage would be too much. Plan your clothing as per the number of days, so that you don't even run out of clothes. And many times what I do is, sometimes if I am running out of clothes, I buy some very cheap clothes when I go to those places. One more thing what I do is, for clothing, if I am going to stay in a place for say 3 days and I have laundry facilities there, then I would wash my clothes there, get it ironed and reuse it. I don't need to carry so many pairs of clothes. But there are situations where I may not get that. Maybe every day I'm traveling to a new place, so I cannot wash my clothes, or if it's not having facility to dry the clothes, it becomes a problem. So all these things can be decided by doing sufficient research. So these are the major things which I look into when I plan my trips. If you have any suggestion or any ideas want to share, please do share in the comments. Hope you find this video informative. Please check my tour planning for Andamans and Sikkim, which I have done separate videos starting from buying the tickets, everything. So you can check those videos also. If you like my travel videos, consider subscribing. Thanks for watching. Bye for now. Take care.